Good morning. I'm Joanna. I'm the moderator for this panel. We're going to be talking about digital subscription services and challenges and wins. It is early in the morning, and these lights are insane. They're very bright, so we can't see many of you. If you do want to move up, we welcome you to. If you want to sit where you are, I understand personal space bubbles, so that's cool too. I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves because they're far better at it than I am. And then we were kind of thinking, you know, these are pretty casual formats. We're just going to kind of roll through some questions that either they get a lot or just questions that have kind of come in, and then we'll leave the last 10 or 15 minutes so that we can open it up and everyone can kind of ask the questions that they might have on their mind. So I guess we'll kick it off with you if you want to kind of tell people where you're from.
Sure. Well, good morning. And these lights are very bright.
They're so bright.
My name is Mark Griffith. I run the product management team for NASCAR.com at Turner Sports, Turner Broadcasting out of Atlanta, Georgia. In my last, I'd say, 10, 12 years, I've been involved in a number of subscription-based services, from the TrackPass product line at NASCAR to what was a cutting-edge video product at CNN called Pipeline, and prior to that, at Earthlink, doing a number of internet-based subscription products, all things that you could add on top of an internet access line or high-speed line. So I'm excited here to talk about subscriptions.
I'm Jennifer Wood. I'm with allrecipes.com. We're just right down the street from here. And I've been with All Recipes for about 2.5 years, and we have a paid subscription service that we call our supporting membership that offers a variety of enhanced tools to help cooks in the kitchen and just help them be organized and get dinner on the table quickly.
And I'm Scilla Andreen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of IndieFlix. We're basically the Netflix.com. We have about 4,500 independent films from festivals around the world, and you can watch all of those films for $6.99 a month, and we deliver globally.
All right, so I'm excited about this. I was just saying to them before this that subscription service is like a different beast. It's an entirely different beast. You staff your teams differently. You set aside different metrics, all these different things. So why do a digital subscription service? Like, what kind of led your companies or your choices as you started your own companies to go down that road? Yeah, kick it off.
So in the content world, which is going to be potentially a little different for other businesses that aren't necessarily content-based, the one thing that a direct-to-consumer subscription business gives you is a little bit of a hedge against the ad market. So if you think about the recession from 2008, 2009, if the ad market goes, let's say, drops 25, 30, 40%, that's an immediate 25, 30, 40% hit on your revenue. What the subscription business gives you is a little bit more stability because you have some people that are on longer-term plans, they're on 6-month plans, 3-month plans, annual plans. And you're able to weather that storm a little better, and having divergent revenue streams is always a good thing. You look at the cable market, and the reason why, one of the reasons they're so successful and can bid large amounts of money that you read in the trades is because they've got the ad market, but they also have the subscriptions they can get from their cable operators. The subscription model is very akin to that kind of model.
Okay.
For All Recipes, one of the main reasons is very similar to what Mark just described. Is we are a content business, and the core of our revenue does come from advertising, and so we see the paid subscription model as being a way to diversify our revenue stream and give us that additional stability and additional influx of revenue. In addition, we also built it because, or have a paid subscription service because we believed we could build a good product for our users, and it was something that, we have, a fairly extensive loyal user base, and they tell us a lot about what they want and what features they want, and we listened to that and basically built our paid premium model off of what they were asking for.
So prior to premium, like, what did the model look like? When did you know that maybe you needed to take a pivot into what you're doing now?
The actual foray into the premium model happened before I was at All Recipes, but it was a few years ago. So, before that, it was we did provide some different tools to our users just for free registration in terms of providing a recipe box being kind of the core product, and just kind of thousands of lots of great content in terms of our tens of thousands of recipes that we get from our community. That's all user-generated content. But really just kind of that, the consistency of the messaging that we were hearing from our users, and just, we just saw that also as just a growing opportunity in terms of the internet space, and really making our foray into it, and really believing that we could build that based on the product we deliver to our users.
What about you, Scilla? I mean, you started this was your baby, so.
This was my baby, yeah. I'm actually a filmmaker, so I'm.
So it's really your baby. I mean, you're building something for what you love.
Yeah, and I'm just experimenting. I mean, I left college my sophomore year. I didn't go to business school or anything. I don't have any formal training other than I'm just a filmmaker. But we actually, our business model has actually evolved as technology and the audience has evolved. We used to do DVD deliveries. We've actually pivoted a couple of times. And selling independent films is not an easy task, but there is a very devoted and hungry audience out there for those films, and there's a tremendous supply. So our model was to connect the demand with the audience, and the supply and the audience. But we dropped DVD, we dropped pay-per-view streaming because we found it was almost too much work just to get one film, and it didn't encourage people to watch and explore other films. So, looking at Netflix, which seemed to have, figured it out, we pivoted to a subscription service, and then created also a new model around monetizing the content on behalf of the filmmakers. So we actually have launched a new model, which is a royalty pool model, which is taken out of all of the paid subscription revenue that comes in. And that's been actually really successful. And we only launched it in July and sort of made it public in August, and it's already doing much better than our old model.
So did that change come from hearing what the filmmakers wanted, or was that something that was a catalyst?
It was, I guess you could say that. It was a lot of complaints from the filmmakers about not making any money. And so, and me being a filmmaker, that was, honestly, I sort of hunkered down this last year and stopped going out and talking about independent film and monetizing your movies and branding yourself and building a network and all that stuff, because I wanted to really focus on how can filmmakers make meaningful revenue. And IndieFlix can make money because we're the aggregate, but how can an individual filmmaker make money? Mm-hmm. So that's what I've been focused on the last year. And this subscription model, it's exciting in some ways. It creates stability, as Mark had said. You can also add more features like all recipes, but for me, it's because we're new to it. How do you even get the customers? And then, of course, how do you keep them? So it's actually really exciting and fun for me. It's as exciting and creative and fun as it is making a movie. So I'm actually excited to be doing it.
So I'm going to throw out a random question. None of these were really fielded prior, so I apologize. But I'm really interested in this because at SEOmoz, we're questioning a lot of things about our subscription service right now, like price points, names, features, the different kind of levers in those tiers. When you guys say that you kind of moved to a subscription service or maybe started with one, did you come up with an idea and then test it? Did you come up with an idea, ask your community? Did you wait to make big changes until the community kind of gave you enough feedback that you felt this is time for a substantial change in either pricing or what you're offering them? How do those sorts of changes in the subscription, what it is itself, come about? Or have you tested a lot of different ways?
We did research, lots of research, and we talked to our filmmakers. And if they were on board and game to do it, then we would do it. We also looked at models like Hulu Plus and Netflix, mm-hmm. and we thought, well, there's proof in the industry there, so let's combine our efforts and,
There's certainly a lot more to look at and point to these days than there may have been a couple years ago.
So for us, we talked to our customers that we had that bought DVD and pay-per-view and got their feedback, and just basically what we already had. Yep. We utilized.
What about you, Jennifer?
We also are continually doing a lot of research to just find out what it is that our community is interested in, and that's how we determine how to build out our user base. And we also just we know a lot about our audience overall, and kind of have broken them down into about 5 different consumer segments, and really understand a lot about what those various consumer segments' needs and interests are, and really kind of focus on building tools that we think are going to meet those needs and interests. In addition, we have a customer support team that's really active within our overall community. So they're engaging with the community on, on our what we call our buzz, which is, kind of our Q&A for users.
I've used it.
Yeah.
You've saved me many times.
Oh, excellent.
I don't know how to
Good to hear, good to hear. And really, listen to what users are saying there, as well as just the direct feedback that customer support gets. So it's a combination of that direct feedback from users, surveying our users, and just overall research.
So it's not happening in an incubator. It's not happening in a room where you're like, I think that we should explore with this price change.
Yeah, absolutely not. And once we do come up with an idea, we do go back out and kind of vet that through research.
What about you, Mark?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Different products that we've introduced, what those feature sets are, what the price points are, they're all tested, in various different ways. But there's very few that are just sort of thrown out there and let's see if it sticks. We've got to do some amount of vetting on the concept. And the interesting thing is, some of these products that I've introduced, over the last 10 years, came from when we were testing something else that bombed, and said, we've uncovered something really interesting here. Let's pivot and move that direction. So
I love those stories. They make me feel really good about potential bombs. Well, what are some of the biggest challenges? If everyone wants to speak to kind of the one big unexpected challenge as they kind of handled this?
Well, I'll start with this. And the big challenge that we have within the content space, at least at Turner, is you've got an ad sales group, and Turner Broadcasting is an ad sales company. That's how they've been formed, and how to a good degree how it's structured. So you're constantly going up against folks that say, or sales folks say, hey, sponsor XYZ really wants to have Dale Jr. this weekend free. Well, if you don't know much about NASCAR, Dale Jr. is by far the most popular NASCAR driver. If I give that driver's content or access away for free, not only does it prohibit me from generating any new subs to the subscription business, but it could really tick off the existing customer base that's thinking they're getting some exclusive access, and that's why they've opened up their credit cards. So I wind up really taking the role of an evangelist more than anything else, that explains and really drives home what the value of the subscription model is, why it's important, what are the key tenets for it. And I'll work with the sales folks to come up with things that can work so they can meet their budgets as well. But there's certain lines that I can't cross, just because I have to keep those folks that have trusted us and are paying and giving us those credit cards to get exclusive access, that we're not devaluing what they're thinking they're going to get.
Yep.
I think one of the biggest challenges is finding having all the resources to do as much innovation and continual enhancement of your product as you'd like. I mean, so, as also being an ad-supported business, we have to support that channel as well. So we have to be very responsive to our advertisers. We have to be building new products to really help them connect with our brand. We're continually enhancing the site overall to just help maintain All Recipes as being the #1 digital food brand, and ensuring that we're just creating the best overall experience for all of our users, but then at the same time trying to find the resources and spend as much time as we think is warranted to help continually build that premium model and and stay on top of other competitors that might be more focused and be more focused on the types of tools that we're offering through our premium model. So just.
So serving both needs, like being
exactly.
able to be aware of. Yeah.
And to play off that, there's, in all aspects that I've worked on, there's always this sort of concept that I shouldn't have to pay for that. That's free. And you run up against that as well. And it's, the expectation of the consumer is something that you have to keep in mind, but also to some degree in education, because while they think they may be getting something for free, they're really not. It's not the exclusive access that you're providing through your subscription model.
Well, that we certainly feel that at SEOmoz. Where does that education come in? Is it through the lifecycle marketing, the customer communications, the emails? Are you doing it both? I mean, on-site, messaging. Does it need to be done before the conversion? I mean, where have you explored kind of the best ways to really hit home? Here's why you're paying us, and here's what that value is.
Yeah, it really has to be integrated into the whole experience that you're providing your end user from the first time they come to your site, so they really understand. Here's what you're getting from this site, or whether it's, take any content site, and if you made a slight shift one way or the other, this is what you get when you make that move to premium content.
Yep,
When they become disjointed, then you've got a problem, because then the consumer is going to be confused and they're not really going to understand why they would have to pay for a certain piece of content.
So what about you, Sheila? We didn't quite get there, but what's been one of the bigger challenges, maybe expected or not expected, as you kind of...
For us, because we're so new into the subscription model, it's just getting the word out and getting subscribers, paying subscribers. We can get lots of free ones, but it's converting them. We did a small little campaign and got like 600, free signups immediately. But then we want to, turn them into paying customers, and
yep.
It's keeping that. I mean, I'm still learning things. I'm not one who wants to put up my credit card and have 2 weeks free and remember to cancel. I want to have my 2 weeks free and then decide if I want to, do it. But I'm not going to talk to you after 2 weeks. It's just, so I'm learning those different sort of nuances, how that all works.
Yep. I would love to hear, so loyalty, customer loyalty, it's so critical. I mean, that's basically all I'm talking about this afternoon in my panel. Like, we just know that it's a beast of its own. You're actually director of retention, lead of retention over there. What has worked for you guys? What have been some of the most successful loyalty campaigns or loyalty efforts that you've put your weight behind?
So we really need to start engaging our paid subscribers, from the moment that they join, and just ensuring that that all of the features and benefits of our premium model are top of mind, and that they really understand how to get the most out of them and how to get benefits out of them. So, we really leverage just really integrate the content into the site as best we can, so that the tools that are most appropriate to wherever they might be in their recipe planning or preparation process are the ones that are, kind of top of mind and elevated at that particular area of the site. So, just that contextual integration, as well as just general lifecycle marketing. So, really engaging them with welcome emails. We have dedicated emails for our premium members that, one that's just, kind of exclusive to them, that pulls out some special content, gives them some tips and tricks as to how they might better, get more out of their membership, and just, kind of gives that exclusive feel to them being a part of, this group. In addition, we also target a lot of target advertising on site by user status. So we recognize that they are premium members, and really we don't serve regular advertising to our premium members. We just use those ad units to engage them further within the product. Okay. And again, kind of pull out any content, premium content might be relevant to them, maybe seasonally relevant, just to really help them see how they can take advantage of their subscription at that moment.
So really personalized experience. I mean, I would say even talking to a lot of other, people that work on subscription teams, that sort of being aware, of what their user state is and resonating a different experience, that's a step more than what most companies are doing, and that's obviously really valuable. What about you, Mark?
Yeah, everything that was just mentioned, personalization, if you know someone, and we asked this question when somebody first becomes a member of NASCAR.com, well, who's your favorite driver? And then we can, put creative in front of them when we're sending out marketing emails.
So you're profiling them from the very beginning.
Right, exactly. But also knowing what your customers are doing. So if you know somebody is a very highly engaged person, they use the service every week, they come every race, at that point your message to that person may be very different from somebody that, well, they really only check it out about once every 5 weeks or so, and it's, maybe it's a safety net for them when they can't watch the race on TV. Your message to that person may be different. So it's, again, personalization, really understanding how your consumers are interacting with your product.
How many people do you guys have? I'm always interested in, what are the teams behind these initiatives? How many people do each of you have on your teams that is in charge of kind of writing those emails, shaping those messages, or life cycle communications? Is it a team of one person, a team of 3 people? I mean, how big are these teams handling these memberships?
Turner is so matrix that it's going to be really difficult to come down to an exact number. But in terms of how my organization is structured, we have let's say 2 product managers that are in charge of just the subscription side of things. And then we have, support from operations staff, support from IT, support from marketing. So there's a lot of people involved. How many dedicated? It's really be difficult.
So you're pulling from all sorts of teams
right.
to help you get that really streamlined customer
Right,
experience.
And everyone has to be on the same page and working together on it. It's an effort.
Yeah, we definitely lean significantly on our customer service team. They are like being that front line, but getting all that feedback from customers, which is at this point, really running our kind of product roadmap. How do you guys handle that? How are you handling both the things that you might want to build as a company, things that you might want to interject into the membership versus the things that customers are asking for? Are they ever at odds? And how do you guys handle those challenges?
Well, we have filmmakers that have certain desires and tools that they want to use to help market their own films and the subscription service.
Oh, interesting.
And then we also have our customers that are wanting more more ways to share what they're discovering and to enrich their experience. I personally want to get the leaderboard and rewards program going. And I mean, it's really, there's a lot of chicken and egg conversations that we have all the time. I think that because we're recognizing 75% of our subscribers come from actual filmmakers in an affiliate program that we launched where we pay a bounty to anyone who uses their unique code to bring on a paid subscriber. So that's been really effective for us. So I listen to my filmmakers because it inspires them to go out and get more subscribers. And then we just, I'm learning so much on this panel personally, but it's great. I mean, we only have 2 people who are constantly, like every single person who signs up reaches out to that subscriber to talk to them. Wow. I mean, it's not a very scalable way to go right now, but for us, we're still learning so much. I want that personal contact. Yeah. It's how we built our library of 5,000 films and, like 4,000 filmmakers around the world is by having that personal contact. But I think, did I answer the question?
Yeah, no. That's actually an interesting thing because you're serving 2 completely different audiences. Yeah. I wouldn't have guessed that much of your primary audience would have actually been the filmmakers. I would have looked, thinking it's more, kind of the consuming of the content or discovery piece, but that makes total sense.
They're the voice. I mean, they are out there on the ground everywhere all the time talking about where their film can be seen. And so since they make money on it, they help encourage, they drive subscription for us, as well as the film festivals too.
Interesting.
Which, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. Yeah, which is really awesome.
Whole other panel.
Yeah.
What about you, Jennifer?
I don't think we really run into situations where the kind of the core of what we want to do for our premium product is at odds with what users might want, because we are informing that so heavily through research and through what we hear from users. I think maybe what we might run into more is that in the process of developing that feature, is it exactly what the user wanted, or do they understand it, is it seamless for them? Is it clear how to use it? So we do conduct a lot of usability as well, and any other new features that we're launching to make sure that we can kind of tackle those issues up front.
Yeah. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because this seems to kind of be something that you just don't hear a lot talked about on panels, but what about when someone leaves? What does that look like, the reach out, the efforts to either get them back or to get feedback? What are you guys doing to really understand the customer loss, customer churn of your businesses?
We've done win-back campaigns, and they tend to work better in seasonal aspects. So you go after somebody that may have left in the prior year before the Daytona 500. That would sort of make some sense. But it's a big issue. Even if you had a churn rate that was phenomenal, monthly churn, let's say it was, and churn means the percentage of your customer base that leave on any given month. Let's say it was 3%, which would be fantastic. That means 36% over the course of a year of your customer base is going to turn over, which puts an incredible amount of strain on your acquisition goals because you have to make up that amount just to break even. Yeah. So, really making sure you're constantly, innovating and understanding what your customers' needs are, and addressing problems on the customer service level and first call resolution where you can becomes really important. To help keep those numbers as low as they can, so all your new acquisitions really go to growth and don't go to just replacing your customers that are lost.
Replenishing, yeah. I love that you threw out 3%. I actually found when SEOmoz really started to focus on the metrics, which was like a whole different turn for us, was just kind of like, it's hard to find benchmarks and standards for your industry on what a good churn is or a bad churn is, and then there's that whole level of involuntary churn versus voluntary churn. Have you guys found that it's, you're just kind of, where are you looking to even find the resources to kind of understand how you're doing? Is this kind of like we're seeing how we're doing and it's just our benchmark and we're going to fight against it to improve it? Or are you talking with other companies in different industries or similar industries?
I call other companies.
What
I
was
mean,
that?
I do research and then I call other companies in our space and just ask them point blank, and they tell me.
That's a great
And I
comment.
figure they're kind of stretching one way or the other sometimes, and I'll talk to board members that are on those companies
Great
as well.
resource. Yep. Yeah, I wish there was just more written about it. We should all be writing more about this. I'm really bit of a post. What about you? I mean, what are you doing when a customer leaves? I mean, what does that look like for you guys?
So when with lapsed customers, we do reach out to them and just to encourage to make them feel that they're valued and that we want them to come back. We haven't tested any win-back campaigns in terms of offering them additional discounts, so that's something that we're looking at doing. So really just reaching out to them via email and trying to win it back.
And how does that, I mean, how well does that work for you?
It's, I think that we've had mixed success with it. Yeah. So it's something that we're going to be focusing on a little bit more moving forward. But earlier you're mentioning involuntary churn and things of that nature. And I think we're also focusing on how we can improve those numbers as well, just to help with, help minimize that, because I think with that we can actually increase our renewal rates quite a bit.
Yep.
So right now most of our users are on an auto renewal, but we have 3 levels of membership. A 6-year, a 1-year, and a 2-year. A 6-month and 1 year and 2 years. Excuse me.
I was like, 6
years.
You're amazing.
It's really a lot of that.
Voluntary churn on that's got to be humongous.
Lock them in for a decade.
But yeah, I mean, of course, over that length of time, particularly with the 2-year, you're going to see a lot of people's credit cards change and, be lost, be stolen, just the numbers change, whatever. So, really looking at different account updater tools that can help us stay on top of that so that, the onus isn't on the user to update their information and we can just seamlessly continue their membership. And of course, we alert them, anytime that we are about to auto-renew them.
Yep. Yeah, the involuntary churn is just a whole other world. It really does lean on ops, pulling in and understanding your billing system so well and thinking of that. You did hit on something interesting. Again, it's just a friend of mine, so I'm going to ask the question because I can. So you have 6 months, you have 1 year, you have 2 year. When are you guys resonating what that length of membership upsell would be? Are you offering all 3 options in the pricing page? Are you offering it on the billing experience? Are you doing it a post conversion and upselling them then? When do you try to lock them in for longer? And can you do it too soon?
We really only offer, I guess we have 3. We have free, monthly, and annual.
Okay.
So the annuals, that's an easier one.
Yep. Are you doing that right on the billing, on the kind of pricing option? Like, you know, are you offering a discount for that annual? Or?
We do through different campaigns, marketing campaigns. I think the biggest challenge is getting from the free to the paid. Yeah. Because the monthlies, we're so new. Our churn is incredibly good right now.
You're doing great. It's true.
But we're new, so it's hard to say. But it's really getting the free. Everything on IndieFlix is free except to watch a movie. That's when you pay. Okay. And when people do leave, we reach out to them personally and ask them, why, what can we do better? And when I start to see a pattern of things that we could improve upon, we sort of prioritize that in. A lot of times people just want to come and watch one movie, and that's it.
Yep. Okay. And what about you, Mark?
For the most part, at least on the content space, it's been annual is our preference, and customers, when you think about a NASCAR fan, it's rare that they'd want to just do a 1 month and then just have that renew every time, especially if you can give a deep enough discount on the annual to really match it up with the season. A season's 9 months long, so it lends itself pretty well for an annual plan. That's where customers sort of gravitate to. Nice.
That does make sense, I guess, now that I think about all of my friends that are NASCAR fans. I mean, they're pretty diehard in general. So here's a question around competition and competitive analysis. I do think that in the subscription space, I think you have to be almost more aware or just very aware of competitors in general because their changes on how they price or what they offer is so significant. How often are you looking at what your competitors are doing? How often does that influence what you do or don't offer?
I look constantly because I'm a member of everybody else, all my competition.
Yep.
So I see all the things they're trying to do to get me to do different things or
And do you
on
feel
board.
like being in the subscription service, you have to almost be more agile to that? You almost have to be like, well, if they're going to be offering all that content for free, or this type of content for free, or that topic of content for free, maybe we should consider it as well. Do you feel the shifts in your memberships change as your competitors change?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. When our competitors do something that seems smart and relevant, I mean, sometimes they add things that
You're just like, what?
it's just throwing something on the wall. I can tell. You know, you can tell the difference.
Yep.
Yeah, we're always looking at our competitors to see what they're doing. And I think, for all recipes, depending on what aspect of our business you're talking about, we have different competitive sets. So for, allrecipes.com as a whole is a recipe site. Some of the other bigger recipe sites are our main competitors. But in talking about our premium membership, there are also just kind of the menu planner specific. Our menu planner is our main feature of our paid membership, or just organizational tools that are out there that really, truly become a competitive set for that aspect of our site.
Okay. So you have a number of things you're looking at that could actually creep up on you. Yeah.
Yeah, and for us, it's not as much about competitors' premium content that we're looking at. We're really looking at the free content. That's really, I think, the big competition that we face is, customers that or fans that think they can get the same content in a non-paid environment. It's a little different on the NASCAR side just because we're still the official league website. So we don't have to worry too much about subscription offerings that's an exact mirror of what we're providing. But we do have to worry about are we still providing the value that customers expect, and that would both be within the site that we run as well as the other sports sites.
Especially with all those sites opening just so much more free content. I mean, like that as a resource in general has just kind of changed the landscape. So what is that like what are you each using, if we could just run through, because I think it's really relevant to the audience, what gets someone from free to fee most regularly for each of you? Is it, an action? Is it what are you seeing the most success with right now?
For us, it's exclusivity. If you can provide, behind-the-scenes information on a fan's favorite driver, and that's, whether that's behind the scenes, in their things that they're working on, like sort of outside the sport, or most importantly, what they're doing on race day, where they are on the track, all the information of how fast they're going, what their fuel window is. If you can provide that kind of content, that's what's going to drive people to the product. Because if you think of a linear broadcast of a NASCAR race, they're going to show you who the top leaders are. And if your favorite driver is Jeff Gordon, and Jeff Gordon's running at about 20th place, you're not going to see a lot of Jeff Gordon on the TV broadcast. But we can provide all Jeff Gordon all the time in a digital world. So that's what really is going to drive people into buying a subscription package from us.
From you.
For us, I think it's about demonstrating how our tools can make their lives easier and just make meal planning and just getting dinner on the table stress-free. So out of all of our features, our meal planner and menu planner is the one that we see the greatest conversion off of and the greatest adoption from. And since we launched that feature, it was end of January in 2011, we saw a large increase in adoption of our premium membership service. So really demonstrating the value of that to users through offering sample menus. We have a lot of curated content that really helps them build out menu plans based on dietary or budgetary or lifestyle needs, a variety of different types, as well as having a demo mode for the actual tool itself, so users can play with it and get a feel for it. So just in really being able to demonstrate them through that, how they can how it can make their life easier and how they can get dinner on the table.
So you're giving a lot away. The demo is so great because, I think, too, a lot of people assume that if they do some sort of free trial experience, most people will either give a credit card or jump right into that free trial, but sometimes it really is that model home or that demo experience. So you guys are really pushing the limits on what you offer and then proving the value so significantly that it's almost like...
But we do keep a lot back to those because they're definitely certain, definitely content-wise. So we surface, we give a great overview of what you can get, and we surface kind of a limited amount of that curated content. And then from a tool perspective, we kind of show you what you can do, but all of the features aren't enabled. So you can't save it. You can't do kind of the variety of things that really kind of bring it home and bring that true value out of it. So just enough so that they can see it, so that they can experience it.
Cool. What about you, Sheila?
We're kind of a combination. Exclusivity. If we have if we have the Sundance Audience Award-winning film on our site for 30 days, we can have a greater conversion during that time period. But also the utility aspect. IndieFlix helps you find hard-to-find films you can't watch anywhere else, and the ease of use and being able to just, soon we will be everywhere. You see IndieFlix, Netflix or Hulu, so the utility aspect, just to manage your independent film library and make and share what you discover.
Well, it's great to hear that all of you are kind of considering, both content exclusivity as well as feature value, as well as it sounds like just a great experience, whether you're servicing like a great UX or a great community. Because I think sometimes digital subscriptions can kind of focus on one too much, and that's what doesn't give them kind of a unique value. Well, we have about 10 minutes left, 10 to 12 minutes left. I'd love to open it up to questions. I know that how many people in the room, although we can't really see your hands, work for a digital subscription company? Thank you for raising your hands so high. Okay, so who has some questions? This is a perfect panel to ask the really nitty-gritty things that are driving you crazy. Yeah.
Good morning. I have a question about one specific sales channel, which is the iTunes App Store. And this might be very relevant to Jennifer right now, and maybe in the future to Mark and Scilla. It seems as if Apple is right now very restrictive about auto-renewing subscriptions, limiting it to magazines and I think enterprise productivity tools. I'd love some feedback on why you think Apple is being so restrictive and whether there might be a light at the end of the tunnel to more consumer premium services being available through their channel, albeit an expensive channel, still a very popular one.
That's a great question.
Yeah, so for all recipes, what we offer currently today through iTunes, is our dinner spinner and your kitchen inspiration applications. And so those do not include any sort of renewal aspect to them. Once you purchase them, you've purchased them. So it's just an app. So for us, we haven't actually run into any issues with iTunes in terms of their renewal policies and why or their, whatever their reasons might be for doing that. So it isn't something that we've personally run into or had to consider much in terms of what we're doing moving forward.
But you couldn't do the premium?
No, and so that's we couldn't do our premium subscription through iTunes right now. No, so I think it's something that we haven't quite figured out yet, and something that we want to look at more because I think that we do get some user confusion for those who people who maybe purchase an app but then also become a paid member on our site or not understanding what the difference is or why if they did one why they don't have the other. So it's definitely a challenge for us, and it's one we're really in the process of trying to figure out the best way to deal with it.
Yeah, for us at this point, we have several things within iTunes. We've got an application, we've got some video content, but it's separate from our premium subscription business.
Yep, you're keeping it pretty separate. Yep. We have a couple. We'll start with you. Yeah, kind of hard to. I'm just like you.
Hi. I was just wondering if you could speak to chargebacks, whether or not you have issues with them, and kind of how each of your companies approaches that issue.
Worst word ever. I totally chargebacks. Sorry, get me all riled up. Who wants to start? This is a good one.
We don't really have that issue yet.
Sheila, you're amazing. I'll give you guys a second to brew and just say we've had some chargeback situations at SEOmoz, primarily as peaks and valleys with our affiliate program. If someone comes in and they've been able to kind of, scam the system a bit with fraud. It lives in customer service with a heavy hand in operations. We have someone that at this point in our growth, we've really moved someone full-time to that customer operations piece, which is really valuable. So I think that we're just aware of it. We try to evangelize it to the whole company because a lot of people touch it. Like my affiliate program can affect it, so can bad billing page security. So I think that we're just trying to evangelize what it is, and when it does peak, it is a company-wide, all-staff, early warning email. Like what's going on, sort of thing. So. yeah, I think mainly for our credit card fees and stuff like that, we try to keep it pretty low, and we keep it pretty high priority when something does seem to catch fire.
Yeah, they happen. To the same thing that Joanna just mentioned, we try to keep it to a minimum. And one of the ways that I can affect that is by, having conversation with our customer service folks, on, making sure that we're providing the best customer service as possible, but also, we've got a refund policy, but I apply it very liberally to not get to that situation of a chargeback. So, if somebody says they want a refund, give them a refund. I mean, that's sort of my philosophy on it.
We follow the same philosophy. We have a very liberal refund policy as well, and our customer support is really great about speaking with our users and taking care of their concerns, should they have any. And we actually don't have much of a problem with chargebacks. We have a fairly low chargeback rate.
I think that is actually a really interesting evolution that happened. Like when you look at kind of e-commerce sites and moving it traditionally online, this idea of like refunding was so like, no, or if they did, it was so, sensational and awesome. But I think really in subscription service, I've rarely come across anyone that has a team that is not incredibly liberal with their kind of refunds. That's a different, unique thing to maybe explore someday.
I think a lot of companies are doing that. I mean, even Nordstrom's, you can return something that you've worn with no receipt.
I love that.
And no tag on it almost. I mean, makes you want to shop there.
Yep. Other questions? Yeah. And then we'll jump up here.
I was volunteered to go first. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
A question about price testing. How sophisticated are the models, the churn models that you use? You adjust the price, and then you got to wait a year to figure out how the test turned out.
Who wants to field that awesome question? It's so hard.
We do a fair amount of playing around with price points. If we had X price point, what would the take rate be? If we had a Y price point, what would it be? You bring up an interesting question: is how does that impact churn? And I don't know if we've actually modeled the churn rate as a result to a price point on a new product. And I think part of that could be I'm pretty happy with my churn rate. You can take that for what it's worth. But it's an interesting point.
Yeah, we definitely haven't. We're not that sophisticated. We did a pretty significant price point change last year and a half ago. Time's flying, and we know we lost people because of it. But it was more because we incorrectly messaged it, which I think we've all had those moments where you're just like, what? That is an unclear email. We asked them to cancel, basically. So I think that's more of what it come, and we kind of chalk it up to a loss and kind of did a postmortem. But that's a really interesting thing, and again, not the great resources out there to really see what other people are doing for models. So sorry, but great question. Go ahead.
Hi. I have worked with a number of startups on the acquisition side, so I just wondered if it's kind of a quick two-parter. One, some of the acquisition channels that you've used that have been successful for your various different models, because they're not all similar. And then the second piece is when you've decided to upsell them, are you upselling them immediately as soon as they hit a landing page, or are you trying to do something after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and when that process happened?
Sheila, why don't you jump in on that one?
Well, because my frustration with getting the free to fee, learned that term here.
I also learned that term here like before.
We just started having, our first month was $1.99. So we got the card, we charged it immediately, and then it's in the system. And then I'd rather work on retention as opposed to trying to get them to put the card up. If I'm remembering the question correctly, what channels are we using
what
to
acquisition channels have kind of been successful for you guys?
For us, the affiliate program's been really great. And I'm trying to decide exactly how we're going to really do this, but it's live now. Of course, I just like to get out there and start experimenting for real. But anyone who signs up with IndieFlix gets a code, including just an audience member, a filmmaker, a film festival, film school, film society. Bloggers, anybody. We're giving codes out left and right. And anyone who uses that code gets, the paid subscriber pays $1.99, but the person whose code that belongs to gets a $12 bounty right away. And so that has been that's helped tremendously. We're experimenting with the pay-per-click and all that stuff. I'm still learning that world. And I guess that's...
It makes sense. The affiliate program can be so valuable.
It is. It's such a dedicated fan base, and people are so... not only are they making... For filmmakers, it's another revenue stream for them on top of their royalties that they get from every minute watched. So, and it's a good mission company. It's like supporting the arts in a way. You're directly supporting the filmmakers. So
yeah.
I think
Did anyone else want to?
Yeah, we don't. We're not currently doing a lot in terms of acquisition off of our site, and most of our paid membership is really coming from the kind of large base of registered users and just overall visitors to our site. That said, we have done some testing with some search and some display, and are looking to kind of build that out a little bit further, most likely within the next, next several months, I'd say. It is something, we found areas of promise, I think, and really think that it could be a good tactic for us, and we're also looking at affiliate programs as well. So something that's still to come for us.
Maybe we should do dinner and a movie.
Swapping of secrets, subscription secrets. What about you, Mark?
The one thing that I remember from my days at Earthlink is, when you're setting up, a high-speed account, it's a fairly involved process. And we were incredibly successful at that point in time when someone was first coming in. They're setting up their email addresses. That's a great spot to get someone to say, hey, would you be interested in a security package, or would you be interested in setting up a home network? Because again, the customer is so engaged at that moment in time. When someone's coming to NASCAR.com or CNN.com, that level of engagement, you have no idea what that is. It could be that they've been coming once a month for 12 years. It could be unlikely their first time. But because it's a fairly uninvolved process, it's fairly difficult to go to that mass of folks and try to get them to upsell. So you really have to take advantage of, seasonal opportunities on the NASCAR side, which means that we're going to hit people pretty hard during, the February timeframe when the Daytona 500 is, on the calendar. It's a couple of weeks away. It's 1 week away. But the fact of the matter is, 90% of the people that are seeing that response are never going to open up their wallet and set up a subscription business.
Yeah.
So it's harder in that sense.
It does seem to vary significantly based on the industry. Just finding that open window of opportunity when that user could most resonate with them to find that value from you that they'd pay for it. So
right. And the other part on the Earthlink example I gave is they're so involved at that first step, they could be very uninvolved with you from that point forward, to the point where they may never care to hear another email from them again. As long as their connection is working, they're happy. Yeah. When they're talking with their ISP, it's usually because something's not going very well. So you really want to get them early and not wait at that point.
So we probably have time for one more question if someone wants to jump up. Oh, and there it is. Thank you.
Hi there.
Hi.
So I don't come from subscription space, but I had a question for you all related to metrics. How are you sharing metrics with your customers who are coming to your sites? Are you using that as a way to either increase their level of engagement with your content, or as a way to sort of help them understand what the value of the subscription is to them?
Great question. Metrics. I'll kick it off to give you a second to ponder. Metrics at SEOmoz, we are surfacing as much as we can. I mean, we live by the transparency sake, so we tell our customers kind of all the time, we're constantly showing how many people are using the product. We're showing when products are down. We're showing how long they've been down. Pretty much any number that can help our members best understand the landscape that they're working in has worked well for us. We found that loyalty helps when we kind of resonate our wins, which is, our index has grown by X, or we've done this number of forward-facing, improvements, or we've had these 27 bug fixes in the past week. So we're trying to resonate as much numerical data as we can. I think it's somewhat specific. Our audience is just very number focused, right? Like our core audience wants to hear about data. So we're doing a lot of that to the customer. We're doing a lot of it internally. So we spend a significant amount of time doing summary emails, brown bags, quarterly all-hands meetings where we're sharing the numbers so everyone's aware of the subscription landscape and where we're failing and where we can improve. So.
Internally, that's the same with us, and we're definitely using metrics to understand what are the content features that people are using, what are the ones that they don't like, because just as important to some degree when you're launching new products is making sure you're putting the right products out there for your audience is also getting rid of the ones that aren't the right products for that audience because they take time and people's resources. So internally, the answer is yes. Externally, I don't know if our fans really care. I think as long as their product works and we're meeting their needs, the numbers piece of it is probably secondary for them.
That's relevant. That's a really good point, though, of using the numbers to get rid of the ones that are taking up maintenance and resources that are not adding value.
Right.
Yeah. What about you, Jen?
Very similar. I mean, we are looking at our site analytics and various metrics all the time, but really from a more internally focused perspective. It's with our users. I mean, the types in terms of like anything quantitative that we share with them, maybe it's probably more in line of content. How many menus are we sharing? How many recipes do we have? But really, I think it is the product working for them and really understanding what they're using, what they aren't.
Yep.
Internally, that's like our whole
bread and butter.
Bread and butter. And then I also get really impatient on on the user interface side. I want to be able to have the leaderboard rewards program going, and reviews, ratings, just the ability to share everything. I mean, those metrics are huge for us because it's unknown content, whereas like NASCAR is really well-known content and very specific. Ours is specific but unknown at the same time. So we need for that discovery process that people go through to be shared as much as possible and validated.
Yeah. Guys, this is great. I think we're getting kicked out now, but I think we're going to do a round of applause for these awesome panelists. Thank you guys so much.
Oh. And for you, the moderator.
Yeah, thank you. This was super fun. We don't get to talk about this all the time.
Thank you.
Enjoy the day, guys.
Thank you.